Hey guys, this is Milton_fanfiction and welcome back to another brand new video. This is what if Naruto masters Sage Mode in Chunin exams part 2. Before we start, please like, comment and subscribe to this channel. Anyways, let's begin.
The crowd was speechless as the cloud of smoke dissipated, revealing a small green toad with a cloak covering its body. The toad seemed to have a purple headpiece, or was that its hair? Either way, it was diminutive in nature, even for something as small as a toad. After a short 2 seconds, the crowd erupted into laughter. Oh, this is rich. That demon brat summoned a measly toad. What's he gonna do with it? Tongue. You to death. Ahahaha. One voice shouted from the crowd. The crowd erupted into bigger laughs as they watched on. As the civilian watchers laughed, the ninja in the bleachers only sighed. Typical Naruto to turn something dramatic into anticlimactic. Sakura sighed while Sasuke repressed a chuckle at the sight of a gaping Naruto. Ino merely giggled a bit at Naruto's face, while Choji stopped eating to shake his head in disappointment. Shikamaru muttered a troublesome before he lowered his head to sleep, while the genin and newer generations of ninja were gaping at the anticlimactic summoning. The older ninja were gaping like fishes at what Naruto summoned, since they knew that it was impossible to summon without a contract, and that the toad contract was with one man and one man only. They knew this was the same toad that Jiraiya had summoned before, during the Kyuubi's attack. They knew just how strong this toad was. She had single-handedly repelled one of the Kyuubi's tail with her tongue. They knew she meant business. While the crowd was laughing, the shinobi gaping, the Hokage's eyes bulged out of their sockets. Oh my. I believe we have that miracle cage dono. Naruto is just full of surprises. Hiruzen said with a slight smile forming on his lips. The cage merely remained quiet as he continued to watch with narrowed eyes at the turn of events. XXX. Hey Sunny. Mind telling an old toad where exactly she is? The toad asked as she jumped from the ground and landed on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto was still gaping as he looked at the old toad, while the toad saw his expression and rapped him on the head. It ain't nice to stare Sunny. Now, care to answer an old toad's question? The toad asked again. Naruto really couldn't believe at what happened. He was hit on the head by a small toad. The crowd's laughter worsened at that. They laughed harder than before. Naruto cursed himself as he sighed. Sure, Oba-chan. We're in Konoha's stadium. We're in the middle of a match. And apparently, I summoned you, Naruto said as he punctuated the U. The toad raised an eyebrow at that. What are you talking about, Sunny? And what do you mean by me? The toad asked. Naruto cursed himself again as he scratched his head in frustration. Gah. All I wanted was for Boss Toad to get here so he could kick Neji's tight ass. But all I get is a small old gah. Naruto couldn't continue that sentence as he was hit on the head again by the same toad. Don't go talking about a woman's age like it was nothing. It's rude. The toad said as she harumphed and stared straight ahead. She was met with the eyes of another boy. This one had gray eyes and had a ponytail. The boy was seemingly smirking at what happened. So you can summon. But it looks like your summon doesn't listen to you. If you were looking for a miracle, I'm afraid you didn't get one. Now to end this, Neji said with triumph as he started walking towards the now recovered Naruto. Like hell I'll let you finish this, you pony-tailed bastard. I don't need a summon to beat someone the likes of you. Naruto shouted as he readied into his sloppy taijutsu stance. The toad on his shoulder saw his stance and raised an eyebrow at how sloppy it was. She didn't comment however, but as she was about to look forward again, she noticed that the kid was now wearing an open coat that was dark orange and had black flames on the bottom of it. The kid didn't seem to notice however that his apparel had changed at all. But the crowd did. The crowd looked at what Naruto was wearing now. It looked like a copy of the fourth's jacket, but was only darker and had no kanji written behind it. The coat, along with Naruto's messy hair, open jacket, and confident stance gave them the image of a true warrior. His change of apparel didn't go unnoticed to the rest of the genin watching. Hey, what happened to Naruto? He looks so much cooler right now. Ino commented, earning some nods from Choji and Sakura. Sasuke only scoffed while Shikamaru woke up from Ino's shouting. Kakashi only stared in awe at the image the young boy was giving. He looks like sensei, he thought as a small smile appeared behind his mask. This match just turned from a curb stomp to a massacre. Kakashi thought as he looked at the match. XXX. By the way, Sonny. My name is Shima. What's yours? Shima asked Naruto, who only smirked as he answered. Naruto Uzumaki. Greatest ninja in Konoha and future Hokage. You better remember that old. THWAK. He was hit on the head again by Shima. Like I said before, Sonny. Don't talk about age to a female. So you summoned so you could beat your opponent. Well, I can help with that. But you'll have to do something first. Shima offered with a small smile. But Naruto shook his head. No, I can't risk you getting hurt. O.L. Shima was ready to hit Naruto's head again, but he cut himself off. I can't risk an innocent getting hurt for my fight. He rephrased. Shima only chuckled at that explanation. Believe me when I say I can handle myself, Sonny. Don't you worry your little head on little ol' me. Focus on fighting your opponent. You'll find that you'll have an easier time fightin' now that you summoned me. Shima said cryptically. But before Naruto could question that, he dodged 2 strikes coming from Neji. 2 palms. He shouted as he thrust his hands forward to hit Naruto, who somehow managed to dodge both strikes. Neji narrowed his eyes at what happened, but continued on nonetheless. 4 palms. Neji thrust 2 strikes forward again. But yet again, Naruto had dodged those strikes. Now Neji was getting annoyed. 8 palms. 16 palms. 32 palms. Neji shouted, rapidly striking. He was faster now than he was before. Naruto grunted as he continued dodging each and every attack. He seemed to know just where and when the strikes would come, and managed to angle his body just right to avoid every strike coming at him. Neji grit his teeth as he hit nothing but air again. 64 palms. Neji shouted with fury now as he continued the technique. Naruto dodged each and every blow. As Naruto relaxed as the technique ended, Neji grinded his teeth. This was impossible. He couldn't possibly dodge every strike. As he finished the last strike, Naruto smiled brightly as he dodged that as well. But Neji couldn't accept what happened so easily. He pushed his body to the limits, calling in more chakra. He refocused his chakra, and continued the technique, successfully evolving it. 8 trigrams. 128 palms. Neji shouted, eliciting a gasp from the surprised Naruto and crowd. Naruto tried his best to dodge, but as Neji hit the 90 mark, Naruto was hit. Neji smirked as he continued up to the 127th hit. Submit to your fate. Neji shouted as he pushed the last strike extra hard into Naruto's chest, making him moan in pain as he doubled over and kneeled on the ground clutching his body. He was shaking horribly as that attack could have turned his heart into mush. Neji merely sneered at his kneeling and shaking form and turned around to walk out of the stadium. As he let his guard down, however, he was blindsided by a kick to the side of his head, sending him flying towards the wall. He crashed against it, making a crater where he landed. Neji groaned in pain as he looked up to look at a now standing Naruto, looking like he hadn't taken a hit at all. Impossible. I hit your heart. You should be dead. Neji shouted in pain as he doubled over and landed on the ground in a heap. Naruto merely shrugged as he rolled his shoulders. Yeah, I don't know either. That attack shoulda hurt like hell. But it felt more like a punch from Sakura-chan. And believe me, I'm used to those already. Naruto said as he cracked his knuckles. Meanwhile, Shima was smirking on his shoulders as she watched the match with interest. Looks like I don't need to help him. Let's see what happens next. She thought. XXX. Meanwhile, up on the bleachers, the watchers were shocked to see that Naruto was standing from that attack. They felt the shockwave from that attack. They knew that it was over. But somehow, he didn't as much as cough up blood. It was ridiculous. The civilian watchers booed again as they watched Naruto stretching. While the civilians were booing, the ninjas on the bleachers stared wide-eyed at the turn of events. Naruto was doubling over in pain 1 second, and the next, he blindsided Neji with a powerful kick. That was physically impossible unless one trained enough. But Naruto seemed to have done that and more as he stood in the middle, daring Neji to come forward and attack him. Sakura was worried when Neji struck Naruto on the chest. She panicked as she watched Naruto fall on his knees and shake at that attack. She didn't want to lose a teammate. No matter how much she was annoyed by said teammate, they were still friends, comrades in arm. She almost jumped in there to check on Naruto had it not have been for Kakashi grabbing her arm and stopping her. Phew. I really thought he was a goner there. That was awesome though. He was almost as cool as Sasuke-kun when he kicked Neji into next week. Ino shouted as she jumped up from her seat at the display of power from Naruto. Sakura meanwhile was scowling, not from contempt however, but from worry. Geez. That attack scared me. He could have died from that attack. Sakura sighed as she slumped down on her seat. She exhaled in content. Sasuke meanwhile, was busy looking at the stadium, scrutinizing the turn of events. Well, I have to admit, I didn't expect that. Looks like Naruto's strategy worked out for the better. He got out his trump card. Shikamaru said offhandedly, the others nodded their heads in agreements. Kakashi meanwhile only shook his head. That's where you're wrong, Nara-kun. That wasn't a trump card. Rather a wild card. No man or woman, strong or otherwise, would be able to master that technique in 1 month. But nonetheless, this match is as good as over. Kakashi stated, getting looks of confusion from the genin. Before Shikamaru could ask what he was talking about, a loud shout erupted from behind them. Yash. Kakashi. Your flames of youth seem to have strengthened tenfold since I last saw my eternal rival. A man's voice shouted as the owner of said voice suddenly appeared next to Kakashi. This man had a green spandex on under his Chunin vest, and his headband was wrapped around his waist. He had a bowler haircut and had ridiculously thick eyebrows. He flashed a thumb up to Kakashi and smiled, it somehow sparkled. Oh, when did you get here, Guy? Kakashi said as he looked at Guy with a confused face. Guy only dropped on his knees and cried. Curse you, Kakashi, and your hip ways. He cried aloud. The genin only looked on at the exchange with confusion. Not to interrupt anything, but what exactly did you mean by that, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked. Kakashi only smiled at Sakura. It is now, without a doubt, impossible for Neji to win. Kakashi said with a chipper tone. The genin looked at him with surprise. Before any of them could ask more questions though, Guy had rebutted. I have to disagree with you, Kakashi. Neji is no pushover, and it would take more than a toad summon to beat him. Guy said as he crossed his arms and looked on at the match with determination. Kakashi didn't respond. Instead, he looked forward, towards the match. The other genin took this as a sign to keep watching, so they turned their attention back to the match. XXX. Just accept your fate, Uzumaki. Neji shouted, his Byakugan active as he charged forward to attack Naruto. Naruto met his attack with an attack on his own as he launched a punch towards Neji's face. Neji thrust his palm forward and landed right on Naruto's chest, while Naruto's punch landed squarely on Neji's cheek. As the attack landed on Neji, a shockwave erupted from the punch as he was thrown back by the force of the punch. He skidded across the ground, finally stopping as he crashed into a tree. But the funny thing is, the tree was split into two as he crashed. Naruto meanwhile, was still where he had punched Neji, and where he had taken the blow. Naruto looked at his hands as he looked at the destruction he had caused. Whoa. This is awesome. I knew I was strong, but damn. This is beyond what I thought about. Naruto shouted in joy. His celebration was cut short however as Shima had hit Naruto on the head again. Focus. You wouldn't want to get hit while you were distracted now, would you? She scolded. Naruto only nodded his head as he refocused on Neji, who was steadily getting up from inside the tree's debris. Neji had spit out blood as he stared at the still standing form of Naruto. He was utterly enraged, confused, and wanted his blood. Enraged because this was not what was supposed to happen. Fate had deemed him a loser, the dead last in the academy. And that he would lose to him, the rookie of the year, a ninja 1 year his senior. Confused because no matter where he looked at the boy, he didn't find one trace of chakra at all. He could detect some kind of energy coming from him, but the energy was all but visible to his Byakugan. It was like he wasn't using chakra at all. And to make matters worse, no matter what he did, he couldn't disrupt his chakra coils. It was like he was a berserker. He ignored any and all pain just to hit his opponent and knock him out in one blow. He was blinded with fury as he charged at Naruto again, intending to finish this and fast. He would show this boy what it meant to be chained by fate. XXX. Naruto saw him charging at him, and he charged at him as well. He was about to use the Kage Bunshin, but he was stopped by Shima. No. Don't use any techniques. You can beat him without any. Just keep fighting and use your instincts to guide you. Shima instructed from his shoulder. Naruto narrowed his eyes, but nodded. Something told him that he needed to listen to this particular toad. As they got closer to each other, Neji started doing hand seals. After they were done, 4 more Nejis appeared beside the original. They charged at Naruto at all sides. Naruto stopped in his tracks as he watched the Nejis started surrounding him and started circling him. He was getting disoriented from this. But as he was looking for the real Neji, Shima spoke up again. Close your eyes, Sonny, and focus. Don't let your senses fool you. Reach out and find the real one, you can do it. Shima instructed. Naruto grit his teeth at the instructions, he wasn't gonna do that. Closing one's eyes when fighting was suicide. Just listen to me, Sonny. Do you want to lose? Shima argued. Naruto begrudgingly closed his eyes and focused. The Nejis saw this and looked on in confusion. What exactly are you doing? He thought as he kept circling Naruto. Naruto meanwhile was inhaling through his nose, and exhaling from his mouth. Trying to focus, he seemed to be able to see light blue blobs all around him. Whether this be above him, seemingly flying high up in the air, or below him, moving the earth as they moved. But as he focused, he found that there were blobs coming from the distance. Like they were miles away and there were many of them. He shook his head and refocused on the blob circling him. There was only one, and it was right in front of him. The blob jumped into the air towards him. Naruto opened his eyes and shot an uppercut to Neji, who was knocked high into the air from the attack. The other Nejis phased through Naruto as they disappeared into the ground. As Neji reached the apex of his jump, Naruto jumped high into the air to Neji's height, his foot up above his head. Naruto Renden. Naruto shouted as he lowered his foot on Neji's stomach. Neji spit out blood as he felt the foot connect to his stomach. The attack caused a light shockwave as Neji was propelled to the ground fast. He crashed on the ground with a sickening thud as a crater formed around him and dust had picked up off the ground. The crowd was in awe at what had transpired. That combo hadn't taken 3 seconds at most, and in those 3 seconds, he had countered, launched Neji into the air, and kicked him back down to the ground like a rag doll. Even Naruto himself couldn't believe himself what had happened. And he was the one that did it. Wow. This is freaking awesome. Naruto shouted in joy as he landed on the ground. He jumped up and punched the air as he ran around the stadium in joy. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I don't know who exactly you are, Shima Oba-chan, but the moment I summoned you, I got really strong. Arigato. Now I can beat Neji's ass into the ground. Naruto shouted in glee as he looked over to Shima, who was only smiling at him with fondness. You act just like Jiraiya-chan. Naruto-chan. Was it Jiraiya who trained you to use Sage Mode? Shima asked. Naruto stopped running and looked at the toad with confusion on his face. Sage Mode. What's that? And no, he just made me sign the contract. Naruto explained. Shima only narrowed her eyes at that explanation. You mean to tell me you summoned me by accident? How exactly did you manage to do that, Sonny? I'm not an ordinary toad by any means. Shima told Naruto, who only shrugged. Beats me. I was trying to summon Boss Toad, Bunta, so I gathered all of my chakra. I was in that hole for 10 minutes sitting still and gathering it. Naruto pointed towards the hole in the ground where he had hidden himself in. Shima narrowed her eyes at the explanation. After all, it was extremely improbable that a kid could have sat down perfectly still and accidentally activate Sage Mode. But as Shima was about to question him about that explanation, both of them sensed danger behind them. Naruto immediately jumped high into the air to dodge the fist that would have otherwise cracked his skull. The attack landed on the ground, forming a small crater around the fist and person that struck it. Neji had gotten up apparently from the crater and launched an attack at Naruto. But what surprised him most, however, was that he had punched the ground. It was by no means a Jukin attack. It would seem that fate deemed you a tougher opponent. But no matter. You will still lose, Neji stated as he got up from his position and got into a taijutsu stance. However, it wasn't the Jukin stance at all. It was the Iron Fist stance he saw Rock Lee used in the preliminaries. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he landed back on the ground. Damn. Looks like you have another trick up your sleeve, Naruto commented offhandedly as he readied his own stance. Neji just smirked at him. Did you really think I only knew Jukin? That would have been utter suicide. Though rare, there are some opponents who do not use chakra or their chakra coils. And the Jukin primarily focuses on shutting down vital points in the body's chakra coils. As such, they do absolutely pitiful damage to the human body. Why do you think Hyugas are appointed capture missions so much? The Hyuga fighting style is designed to subdue the enemy. To render them useless so they won't fight back. There are some lethal attacks in the arts of Jukin, sure. But it would seem it is useless to you. So I would opt to use a more direct means of damage to your body. Neji explained as he charged at Naruto, not giving him time to digest that knowledge. Naruto rolled to the left as Neji suddenly appeared in front of him with a punch that was aimed for his gut. Naruto cursed at the speed of his opponent. Though it wasn't as fast as Lee, it was still fast enough to surprise him. Do not underestimate me, Uzumaki. I may not be as proficient in this martial art as Lee or Guy Sensei are. But I assure you, I am proficient enough in it that you will lose. Neji stated as he disappeared from the crowd's sight. XXX. The crowd gasped at the sudden speed the young genin showed. It was unbelievably fast for a boy that young. The ninja in the bleachers were on the edge of their seats again as they watched on. All of them interested in the turn of events. Kakashi had broken the silence as he turned to address Guy. Well, it's safe to say you don't show favoritism to your students. Kakashi commented. Guy only nodded as he watched the match. But before Kakashi could return his focus, Guy said something that made his heart stop. Unlike you, Kakashi, I don't just train one student and leave the others to the wolves. I train them to be properly equipped for any situation. I've trained Neji, so I know his limits. And with those 2 kicks and punch to the chin, I know he is well past that limit. But he will continue to move past that limit to beat young Naruto-kun. It is, as he would say it, fate, that he will lose. But not without showing everyone that he can defy fate by pushing his limits. It may sound like he is a hypocrite, but believe me when I say this. He was always a hypocrite. He cannot accept his fate, so he trains every day so he can fight it. Naruto-kun and Neji aren't so different. Guy stated. Kakashi sighed and turned back to the match as he digested that piece of info. And it looks like I win, Kakashi. I train my students better than you do. Guy stated offhandedly. Kakashi didn't reply. XXX. Naruto threw a punch again as he dodged Neji's fist, which was aiming at his heart. Neji scowled as he managed to dodge another punch with ease. A few minutes ago, he was losing, badly. Now, he suddenly knows what and where he'll strike. It was really aggravating for Neji. Neji managed to tilt his head to the side, dodging Naruto's punch fully, but to his surprise, a force landed on his face, throwing him back forcefully. He was airborne for a total of 2 seconds, before skidding down on the ground. Naruto looked at his closed fist with confusion, only to shake his head and refocus on the match at hand. Shima was still observing him from his shoulders. The boy's a natural. This youngin managed to use a Toad Kata technique without prior knowledge. Pa'll have a field day when he meets this one. She thought as she watched the young Hyuga struggle to stand up. Neji was not in the best of shape that much, he can feel. He had 2 broken ribs, a fractured right forearm, and he seemed to have a concussion, judging from the way the world was spinning. But nonetheless, he stood up and took a stance. He was not as well versed in the Iron Fist technique like Guy Sensei and Lee, but he knows how enough to knock out or possibly kill his opponent. The reason he switched to this taijutsu technique was simple, he couldn't see Naruto's chakra points. It was like they had all gone out. True, he can see chakra from inside him, but it was like a blur. The points melded in with the chakra because he wasn't using them at all. If he used a technique, he would manage to see a few points, but it seems that every time he tried to use one, his summon stooped him by saying no. Neji grit his teeth as he observed Naruto, who, not a mere 30 minutes ago, was busy stalling time and losing badly. Now, he was standing tall, and looking menacing with his new red trench coat and open jacket. Not to mention his orange eyes and sideways pupil. Neji guessed that it was a dojutsu, but he shrugged it off since it was the first time he saw that kind of eye. But now he was wary of it, it seemed to grant him a sort of future sense. Every time he made a move, Naruto had a counter to it before he could react. Neji decided to just take him out from a distance. He was almost out of chakra, but he had a pouch full of kunai and shuriken at his beck and call. He swiftly pulled a kunai from his pouch and threw it at blinding speed. He held back a smirk, waiting for Naruto's reaction. Naruto saw Neji reach behind him for something. He was going so slow, it was like he was fighting a bear. Powerful. Yes. Fast. Hell no. Neji threw a kunai at Naruto at a mildly fast speed. But still, it was slower than an academy student's. He reached out and grabbed the kunai in the air. He then started twirling it on his finger before he threw it back at blinding speeds. He saw Neji barely react in time before rolling to the left. The kunai whizzed past his leg and shattered on the stadium's wall with a loud clang. He whistled as he saw that it had made a sizable fracture on the stadium wall. He also took note of the depth of it, almost as long as his index finger. As he was looking at the damage he did with the kunai, Shima took his attention back to the match. Hey Sonny. I suppose you should finish the match soon. A real shinobi doesn't take long drawn-out fights. It gives their enemy time to recover and plan a counter. Shima explained. Naruto looked at his shoulder and only smiled cheekily at the old toad. Don't worry Shima Oba-chan. I haven't felt this good in years. I doubt whatever ponytail over there has got. I can take it no problem. Naruto said, confidence in his voice. Shima only looked blandly at the boy. Naruto turned back to Neji, who was scowling deeply. He didn't see Shima shake her head. Alright ponytail. I'll end this with my next move. So whatever you got, you'd better throw it at me right now. Naruto shouted with confidence. Neji scowled before throwing a handful of kunai and shuriken at the standing Naruto. Naruto bobbed and weaved through them all, and with each move, he took a step forward. Neji was sweating now. He knew that whatever he would do, he'd have to try to at least take him down with him. So he readied himself as Naruto approached. After the final kunai was thrown, Naruto smiled and charged at Neji, fist raised and aiming for the knockout blow. Neji readied himself back to his Juken stance, intent on taking Naruto out with him. Naruto threw a punch, while Neji thrust his palm forward towards Naruto's chest, a seemingly white glow surrounding it. Naruto's fist connected with Neji's face, while Neji's palm connected as well. A mild shockwave reverberated from the blow's landing. Naruto slumped down on his knees, while Neji was thrown back. Neji skipped on the ground 2 times. Before impacting on the stadium's wall, making a crater where he landed. Naruto was on his knees, holding his chest tightly as he tried to gasp for air. Neji's last attack was chakra enhanced, and it seemed to knock all chakra out from Naruto's system. Well now, it seems Neji tried to flush Naruto's system. He used all his chakra to forcefully inject Naruto's system with his own, forcing Naruto's previous chakra to expel from his body forcefully. Truly a prodigy among prodigies. Kakashi thought as he watched the final outcome. Guy watched with a smile as he looked at the outcome of the match. Truthfully, he wanted Neji to win. Sasuke had a better chance of actually getting through Neji when they battled. But with that final display, he didn't need a better reason for a reality check with Neji. He guessed, of all the people he could spout about destiny and fate, Naruto was the least likely to listen. Kakashi and Guy turned back to the match as they heard Neji speak up. How? He stuttered as he looked up at the still kneeling Naruto, who had a look of defiance on his face as he looked at Neji. Simple really. I don't give a crap about fate. I'd rather crap on fate's face than to listen to it. Naruto said, stuttering as he tried to get his breathing under control. Neji growled. Why? You know nothing of fate. You know nothing of the hand it has dealt to me. Why do you? Shut up. Naruto shouted. The shout shocked the spectators, the volume of it reverberating. Neji looked at Naruto with shock on his face. Why you can it? I don't give a crap if you're a slave. That's better than being the demon. Naruto shouted at Neji as he looked in his eyes. Neji shuddered as he saw them flash different colors. From bright yellow, to ocean blue, and then blood red. It kept changing colors, changing designs, and Neji wondered at this time, what kind of dojutsu was that? You keep talking about having a seal, being branded for something you had no control over. Well, if anyone knows how that feels. I sure as hell do. Naruto shouted. Neji was too shocked to react. When you were born, you were branded as a slave. When I was born, I was branded as a demon. When you were 3, you had a father. When I was 3, I was locked away in the cellar away from potential fathers. When you were 5, you lost a father. When I was 5, I lost a home. When you were 8, you had a family. When I was 8, I was alone in an apartment. When you were 10, you were a prodigy. When I was 10, I was a clown and a demon. Naruto shouted. Of course, most of those numbers were guesses. But he took his own experience and guessed. But that didn't matter right now, he had to get through this guy's head. I don't know if I was right with those numbers. But that doesn't matter. Truth is, you've had it better than I have. But that still doesn't matter. You don't believe in fate too. You're a hypocrite if you say you do. You say you're a slave. Well, since when were slaves given the chance to show that they were prodigies? Since when were slaves given the chance to be a ninja? Given the chance to live? Naruto shouted as he started to hyperventilate. He was going to pass out soon, but he needed to let him hear this. I fought tooth and nail to get where I am today. To have a team of my own, to have friends. To have someone I care about. To have a brother, to have a crush that takes the time of day to bonk me on the head to get me in line, to have a sensei that doesn't teach me anything, but still cares about me. To have a grandfather who looks out for me, to have a teacher, brother who wants nothing more than to see me succeed in my dream. To have a father figure who cooks for me, to have a sort of sister who teases me about how I'm cute and may want to date me. Naruto stopped briefly at this, and started to gasp faster. Nonetheless, he looked back up at Neji's eyes. All of this, I worked for. Like how you worked for your strength. You weren't born with it. And if you were, you worked it so you can get better. Fate didn't tell you to do all of that. You did it to spite whoever pissed you off. So, Whis, before you spout about things you say fate gave you, look back and see how much you trained. Naruto finished as his eyes receded behind his skull. Naruto slumped forwards, sprawling himself on the floor, unconscious. Neji looked wide-eyed at what happened, and closed his eyes as he tried to hold back tears. That was a reality check for him. He should have seen it sooner. The proctor looked at both competitors, eyeing them both. He raised his hands to declare it was a draw. Before a sudden wave of malicious intent washed through him. His eyes widened as he recognized the feeling. He looked at Naruto, and saw him slowly standing up, radiating red chakra in waves. Shima, who had gotten off of Naruto's shoulders and was now on the ground behind him, looked in awe at the power. She knew what was happening, she just didn't think it would happen now. Looks like the Kyuubi doesn't like natural chakra. It probably started to fight at the moment it sensed that it was in Naruto's body. But Naruto managed to force it down for a while. Now though, the other youngin's attack helped it. Shima thought as she looked on at the slowly standing Naruto, who was pulsing wave after wave of mixed chakra. As Naruto fully stood up, he roared loud. Thanks guys for watching, this is the end for this chapter. Remember to like, comment and subscribe to this video and I hoped you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next video.